Alrighty, go. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Okay, things happened. Alright. Alright. Right, hello, hello, hello. Hello. Hello, everybody. Okay. Got that. Okay. Should be good to go. Maybe. Maybe question mark. That'll work. That will work. That will work. 100%. Slightly a bit confident in that. But it will work. Yes. Yes. It is good. Right. Here for some Math 101 on a Wednesday. There we go. Guess I'll have to wait for a few minutes. Hopefully we'll have some people come in and want to start the lesson. So. Hey, there's Neon. How are you? How are you, my friend? Glad you could make it. How we doing today? Woke to all woke to all classes on the same day as usual. Fair enough, fair enough. All right. We're just going to wait for a couple more people here. See if a few more people here coming in, and then we'll go ahead and get started here. So, yeah. Okay. We'll wait here for a little bit. We'll get going. Just like 1 or 2 more minutes, and then see what we got. Ooh. All right. Okay. Let's just hope we'll have a few more people come in, and then we'll I guess as time goes along. But I'm gonna go get ahead started and we're gonna go ahead and get started here anyway. For what we want to be doing here today. All right, so let's do it here. All right. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Wednesday, end of the week time today. So today, what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be ending chapter 8 here today with the last section, which is talking about mortgages. All right, so mortgages is the last section here in chapter 8. We are skipping chapter 8.6. That's talking about cars, but really cars work on a similar premise that we've already talked about before. So chapter 8, though, the end of chapter 8 here is talking about mortgages. All right, so if you've ever wanted to own a home, all right, and you've ever wanted to figure out, kind of the ins and outs about buying a house and being independent and figuring out what you'll need to do, well, that's what we're going to be focusing on here today. Now, as you know here, mortgages are built off of monthly payments. Okay, so typically monthly payments of some variety. Now, of course, there's going to be an associated formula to figuring out what a mortgage is going to be. So let's go ahead and at least type out the formula here, so that way we can see exactly what's going on. Okay, so the formula here for a mortgage, and we're going to define all of these letters here once again. All right. So we have this, and let's go with this. 1 minus. Oh. All right, there we go. All right, so this is our formula here for mortgages, okay? This is how mortgages are actually figured out, like how much you would pay per month and the like. Okay, now having said that here, go ahead and post that in our Word document here. Let's go ahead and define what each of these letters represent, so that way we can see exactly what we're working with. Okay. First things first here, PMT. What exactly is PMT? Well, that's basically going to be the amount of your mortgage. Okay. So the amount of your mortgage here is going to be equivalent to PMT. All right. Next is going to be R. R here is once again the same thing as what it always has been. It's your interest rate in decimal. So then we have N here. N is going to be, again, the number of times we, again, compound in a year, or again, number of times we pay our mortgage in a year. Okay. Or actually, it's number of times we compound in a year. I guess we'll say that. Either way, it don't matter. And time T here is time in years. Okay, just like it normally has been. So, all right. Then we have the last letter here, which is P. I wanted to mention this last. And the reason why I want to mention this last is because of the fact that if we mention P here last, this is going to be principal. Principal in this context is the amount we borrowed. On the amount we borrowed. So if we're talking about a mortgage here, it's typically how much money we borrowed to buy the house. Okay, so if a house is worth a lot of money, all right, how much money did we borrow to buy that house? All right, that's what P is going to be. All right, we'll discuss a little bit more about that later on. Okay, now, so those are the definitions there of each of the letters in the respective formula. So how does it work here, though? Let's talk about the difference between home ownership and, say, just a regular loan here that you could take out. All right, the one couple key pieces here to home ownership is going to come down to a couple of things. The first thing to consider here when it comes to home ownership is talking about the concept of a down payment. Now, down payment is typically a percentage of the purchase price that is given to the bank in cash in order to acquire your loan. So basically, the bank wants to know, like, if it's going to give you tens of thousands of dollars in money, well, it's not going to want to actually give you that money here necessarily. It's going to want to it wants to go ahead and give you the money here with a guarantee. Now, that guarantee is the down payment. So to get that down payment here, typically what we'll do is the down payment here, just as a little equation here, down payment here is equal to the percentage in decimal times the purchase price at times purchase price for, basically the purchase price, I'll just say. Okay, so we'll get into that here. So now, what this means is that the principal here, P, that we talked about here, the amount that you borrow here will be significantly different. Why? Because you're actually putting money toward the house right up front. So you're giving, like I said, the bank tens of thousands of dollars. You're saying, hey, here's some money up front. I want this loan right now. So the principal here, all right, is going to equal the purchase price minus the down payment. So whatever that down payment's going to be, that's the first thing that we're going to need to figure out. So P is going to equal purchase price minus the down payment. So that's going to be part of our initial process here. All righty. And we'll talk about some of the other things as well in this process. All right. So let's go ahead and give this a try here. Now here's a let's go ahead and give this example a try. All right, and we'll see what the monthly mortgage payment is going to be in this instance. Okay, so let's say the purchase price of the home. Say the purchase price of the home is $76,000. Okay, say the purchase price of the house is $76,000. Now we have to give a 20% down payment. All right, and we're given a 4.5% interest rate for 30 years. Okay, so most loans for homes are going to be 30 years, so that way it's cheaper, for your mortgage. All right, so we have that. Now, what we want to figure out is how much is this person going to pay per month? Okay, so what is this person's mortgage per month? All right, with these situations. So let's take a look here on how we can solve for this problem here. So the first thing that we have to do is find the down payment. Let's say, what is the down payment? So the down payment here is going to be 0.20 times 76,000. Can anybody tell me here? What's the down payment for this particular person? What's the down payment for this person here? All right, 15,200. All right, good. Good job, Fernando. So the down payment here is 15,200. So let's talk about the principal here. How much money are we borrowing? How much money are we borrowing to buy this house? 60,800 is correct, right? So we have the purchase price of the home, which is $76,000. But since we already paid the bank up front $15,200, in actuality, we're actually borrowing $60,800 to purchase this house. All right, now let's set up the problem here based on our formula here. All right, in this instance with a new principal. We know what all the rest of the stuff is. We got 4.5% interest rate and a time t in years. Again, this is per month. So we're going to assume here that n is going to equal 12 here in this instance, since we're just looking for monthly payments. All right. So let's plug in the numbers here in this case. And let's see what we get. So PMT here is equal to 60,800. So here we have 60,800, and we'll multiply that by R, which is 0.045, divided by 12. We'll divide by this whole ugly looking expression here, but with some numbers filled in though this time. So for R here, we'll put 0.045, N is 12. Note this is not a typo. That is negative, by the way. That power is negative, so just point that out there. Okay. Now we want to enter this into the calculator, all right, to figure out what this person's monthly payments are going to be. All right. Okay. So let's figure out what this is. Now, for us to do this on the calculator, we're going to need to do this together here. So that way we can do this properly, okay? So we want to do this kind of one step at a time here, just like we did for the examples from the last section. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to do the more complicated part, which, as you can see here, this bottom part here, this denominator looks pretty ugly. So let's take it by steps and let's go ahead and see what we get here. So we get, let's take the point, let's take do that's in the parentheses here first. These set of parentheses here in the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to do this part. We're going to do 0.045. We'll divide that by 12. We're going to add 1 to that. And then we're going to raise it to the minus 12 times 30th power. So again, we want to make sure that there are parentheses around this in your calculator here. So make sure we have that. Okay. All right, so you probably get like 0.259. You already solved it. That's good. Let's see if we got the answer here. Then we're going to do 1 minus that answer. So if you have the graphing calculator there, you can hit second in the negative key, not the minus key, but the negative key, and it'll have like 1 minus answer there. So you're going to get like 0.74, whatever. Again, we're not rounding here. We're just figuring out what it is. Then we take 60,800. We'll multiply that by what we see there, 0.045, divided by 12. And then we'll divide by that answer here once again. So second in answer. All right, can anybody tell me the answer to this question? What people get? Okay, let's start again, okay? So let's start from here again. Can you do on your calculator here 0.045 divided by 12? Let's do that. So you're going to get like 0.00375. All right, you're going to add 1 to that. So you get 1.00375. Then you're going to raise that to the minus 12 times 30th power. So that should be minus 360. You get like 0.259 something, something, something. Then you're going to do 1 minus that answer. So 1 minus 0.259 something, something, something. So that takes care of the bottom part there. Now we're going to do the top part there. We'll do the 68,000 times 0.045 divided by 12, again in parentheses. And then we're going to divide by the previous answer that we got here, so second and the negative key. Or you can put in divided by 0.740, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And what do we get here? We get so tell me what you got there now, Fernando. You got 3,000. Okay, I think you accidentally added a 0. I think you put 60. I think you put 608,000 instead of 60,800. There should be one less zero there. It's 60,800. Yeah. Now, did you guys round in the middle of the problem? Both you and Neon? Because you're not supposed to round here in the middle of the process. So one thing I will stress here about the process here one more time. Okay. All right, didn't? All right, that's fine. Check that one more time. Myself. No, I read it. I was waiting for Fernando to kind of get the same result there. I read it, I promise you. Because I get, you rounded it to that? Okay. Let me check one more time. You get a, oh, okay, I see what you did there, Neon. So what the answer says on the screen here on my calculator here is going to be, it says 308.0646684. So basically, I just took 06. So I just took the 06 here. So I bet you maybe you said rounded this to 5 and then this rounded up to 7. So this should be 6. So kind of thinking about that, I'm like, yeah, wait, that looks a little off by a single penny. So all right, there should be 308.06. Any questions about that so far? Okay, cool. All right. Now, so this person here who bought the house pays $308.06 a month for this, for this particular place, all right, at that particular selling price and interest rate. Now, let's talk about let's continue talking about the 30806. So there's going to be a few more questions on the homework that are also associated with this particular monthly payment. So what we do know is that this person has to pay $306 and $308.06 per month. However, we need to figure out and say, let's say that person lives in that particular house for 30 years, okay? Now, again, let's be realistic. You probably aren't going to be living in the same house for 30 years, all right? If you own your own home, you probably are going to move around a bit if you get a new job or something like that. That stuff happens. But let's assume that that person stays there for 30 years, whatever the case may be. What happens in that case? Okay. Well, we can figure out. Let's figure out how much interest does this person pay if they stay the full 30 years. So for the life of the loan here, how much are they going to pay in interest? So what we're going to do here is we're going to take $308.06. We'll multiply that by 12 because we have a monthly payment. And then we'll multiply that by 30. Okay? So let's go ahead and do that on the calculator here. And so what do we get here? What's this going to equal? What do we get when we multiply this together? How'd you know to multiply that? Again, I'm paying per month, right? So don't I pay $308.06 per month? So I have to multiply by 12 for every month of mortgage payment. Then I multiply by how many years that the mortgage is, which is going to be my time here. So I multiplied by 30. So that's how I knew how much I have to multiply. That's how I knew what I need to multiply by to get my amount that I pay for this full mortgage contract. $110,901.60. Okay. Okay. Now I did put 60 here because we're just talking about dollars and cents. So that's how much this person here will pay for the full 30-year loan. Now, again, the key word here in this question that we just talked about here is how much interest that they actually pay. Okay, now the interest part here is more interesting, but umpumchi. So we're going to take the 110,000 901.60 and we'll subtract it from the original principal here. We borrowed at the very beginning here after the down payment, right? We borrowed $60,800. So that means the $60,800 that'll get paid for, no problem. But the rest of it is basically interest that the bank can collect. So if we subtract by the 60,800 here, this person will pay $50,101.60 in interest. Okay, so you're talking close to double, not quite, but close to double the amount that you borrowed here. Now, that's perfectly normal when it comes to home ownership. Perfectly normal. This happens quite often. Are there any questions about that so far? Okay. Now, one thing that is important here when it comes to mortgages is that mortgages every month are not equal. And you're probably saying, what does that mean? When it comes to mortgages, not everything is going to be the same. Now, I'm going to pay the same amount every month of 308.06. That part by far and away is going to be exactly the same as it was from before. All right, so nothing changes in that regard. However, how much money goes to paying down my loan and how much money goes to paying down goes to interest are varying different amounts every single month. Okay, so portion of the 308.06 is going to go towards the principal here, just paying that regular loan down. So it's not, and the other half is the other half. No, the other part is going to be interest. So it's not 50-50. We don't cut 308 down the middle here and say, all right, you know what? Half of 308 is going to go to what I borrowed and half of it's going to go to interest. No, what the bank does always is basically they want to make money up front. They think the same way that I do. Okay, you're probably not going to stay in your house for 30 years. Okay, you're probably going to move around and sell it at some point, more than likely. So they're like, well, let me take the profit off the top first, and then we'll go ahead and give you the benefit later on for having lower interest payments and having more money going toward your principal. So what they call that specifically is they call that an amortization schedule. And let me see if I can spell it correctly because I'm really bad at spelling. So with an amortization schedule, we're actually going to figure out in this particular instance how much of the 308.06 goes toward principal and how much will go toward interest in, let's say, the first 2 months of this particular loan. Okay? All right. So the way we're going to figure this out here is we're going to use, we're actually going to go ahead and use a good old friend of ours that we talked about here earlier in this chapter. And that's actually just finding the interest formula here. So if you remember here, the interest formula, here is equal to principal times the rate, again in decimal, here is always in years. Okay. However, let's take a look at month number 1. So for month number 1, okay, our beginning interest here, if we want to figure out how much interest that we're paying here for the first month, just refresh there. There is a bit of delay, so do understand that. I have a delay on, so. Okay, friend needs help with equations. All right, I'll be more than happy to help your friend here after I'm done with explaining some mortgages. No problem. Okay, so let's look at the interest here in this case. The starting principal here right away is $60,800. And the interest rate here is still the same 0.045%. However, the one thing that does change here in particular is going to be the time in years. This is, sure, no problem with fractions. That's not a problem at all. Okay. So we have $60,800, which is the beginning principal here, right when the house is fresh and new. The rate here, which is in decimal, again, 0.045, which is 4.5%, like we talked about in the example. And the time here in years. Now, this is going to be reflecting 1 month, okay? Because this is just month number 1, just 1 month, okay? So 1 month, the way we reflect 1 month here is 1/12, so 1/12, because time t is in years. So just to put it as a little side note here, 1/12 is equivalent to 1 month, okay, for t. So if we multiply those together, okay, we put that on the calculator there. We want to multiply that together, all right? Is that the interest here specifically? Let's go ahead and put that on the calculator there. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, so here we got $228. Okay, so $228 out of the $308 is going to go toward interest in our first month. Okay, that means that the rest of it in month number 1 is going to go toward our principal. So our principal here will be the $308.06, which is our monthly payment, minus the $228 that we have to pay in interest from that first month. So in our first month here, you're going to pay only $80.06 toward our actual loan. So $80.06 is the only amount of money we actually pay toward our loan in the very first month of owning the house. Okay, so not a lot of money there. As you can see, a bulk of it goes toward the interest and not so much what you borrowed, which is a kind of a pity. Now, let's take a look at the next month then. So in month number 2, something changes in month number 2. The principal changes. So if the principal changes here, remember we paid $80.06 in the first month. So we take the $60,800 and now we take away the $80.06 that we paid from the first month. So our new principal here, albeit it's not very much because, a lot of it went to interest as opposed to, the other way around or whatever the case may be. And that's going to be, let's go ahead and, it's the wrong calculator I want to use. That one sucks. All right. That's going to be $60,719.94. All right, so that's our new principal here. So now we want to use the interest here. And we'll use our new principal of $60,719.94 times our same interest rate of 0.045 times our same time here of 1/12. Okay, so let's go ahead and figure out what that is. So in this case here, this is going to be $227.70. So let's take a look here. We have $227.70 is what we get here for interest. And that means once again here, the remaining part of the principal here is going to equal the 30806 minus $227.70. So we get 8036 here for month number 2. And you basically repeat this process, for the full 30 years. Now, this is just the first 2 months here. Okay, but I want you to take a look, right? Notice that the amount of interest that you pay goes down every month. It doesn't go down by a lot. I mean, 30 cents or whatever isn't a whole ton, but you pay less and less interest. You pay less and less interest over time, and then you pay more and more in principal. So like by the 15-year mark, you're basically halfway through, and eventually you're going to pay more in principal than you are in interest. And then the banks pretty much made their money off of you on the top end, and then you can start paying off the house on your end. So where you're going to see that benefit. And that's, with the assumption that you're putting in the money every month here in the exact same way. Are there any questions about that, by the way? Got a little bit more to do with this, but you can see how an amortization schedule works out. This is how the bank can make money off of you right away when you say buy your own home. Again, it's not all, as you can clearly tell, it's not equal where that payment is going to go every month. Any questions, guys, so far? Is this the same as buying a car? Buying a car is basically based off of simple interest. A mortgage, it kind of works the same as a car, kind of. It depends though, because some loans for cars can be worked off of simple interest, and some loans for cars can be worked off of a different formula altogether. So it could be simple interest, or it can be worked off of call it a mortgage of some type. So again, it just kind of depends on which type of contract you get. Majority of the time for new cars, it's going to work off of the same type of mortgage formula that you see here. So the mortgage formula for installments, yeah, it'll work off of this idea right here. Of course, as you know, if you have a good credit score, you're just going to have a lower interest rate for buying that new car. Any other questions before we move on? There's a few more things we'll need to discuss. So, Fernando, math classes in 2020. Hey, thanks, Connor. Appreciate you. Always talking about buying a house, my friend. Buying a house. Yes. This is a very important example, nonetheless. Oh, I guess I should mention this, Fernando, Neon, or anybody else in the chat. This example is actually very, very particular. This example here is intentionally particular. The reason why I chose this particular problem here is because this particular example describes my own home. So you've now effectively figured out how much I pay in mortgage every single month, including how it actually breaks down month to month. There you go. You want to see how it works on a macro level? This is exactly how it works on a macro level. You guys have figured out my mortgage here. Here you go. See, always important to be useful. Always. 100%. 900 euros for a single month. Good lord. Now you can imagine here. Um, Connor, that well, around here, I'll be honest with you. Around here where I live, yeah, even a one bedroom sort of place around where I live is about maybe like five, could be like between $600 to $700 a month. For like a place like mine for rent, 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom is like 1150, 1200 a month. So for rent. Screw it, I'm just using TurboTax for all my payments. Well, this actually shows you why actually doing extra payments for your mortgage can be very beneficial. You see, the amortization schedule is the bank's basically way of figuring out how much interest they're taking out every month from every one of your payments. However, what you can do is pay a little bit more toward your principal, and basically over time you'll pay significantly less interest as a result. So you can save a lot of money by putting in extra payments that go only toward your principal, so long as you're basically satisfying the requirements of your monthly mortgage payment on top of it. So for example, I could give you my example here. I pay an extra $500. Currently, I pay an extra $500 a month, all right, on top of my mortgage, so that way I can start paying down my loan down faster. So it'll make a significant dent on how much I'll actually save in the long run. Again, only if you can, though. That's the important part. Okay. All right, Connor. You have a great one, okay? Maybe living my life, Connor, but, I want to give you tips and tricks to be independent yourself. That's important. It's possible to live off of that. Trust me, Connor. Well, be independent. These are good tips and tricks that you can use to be an independent person. And you know what? You'll take that knowledge with you, and I'm sure that you'll get to the same place I'm at. I know that for a fact. Age doesn't matter when you have the knowledge to use it. So, have a great day, Connor. All right. So, let's talk about a few other things here in relation to owning property. All right. So, there are a few more other things to actually talk about here. First of all, there could be added expenses. Oh, yes. No. You want me to sleep in my spare room? It's got a big ass treadmill, but there is a bed there. I will say that. And plenty of space. Though I wouldn't charge you 900. That's kind of outrageous. Uh, that'd be pretty outrageous. Even I'd feel bad. I'd be like, where are you gonna find 900 bucks, man, for a room that small? That's crazy. Sleeping while it works out. Like, yeah, let's go. Oh, you're waking me up. No. No, I would never charge 900 bucks. Gosh, no. That's absolutely bananas. Realistically, it'd be like, I don't know, $500 or something. All right. See ya, friend. See ya, bro. All right. So some other expenses that could be relation to home ownership here are, of course, property taxes. So, of course, you have to pay property taxes, but again, you take those property taxes and you spread them out throughout the year. However, the way that banks like to do it is if you're taking out a loan on a home, typically what they like to do is every month you'll pay a little bit extra money, again, taking your property taxes, dividing by 12. And what they do is they put the money that should go to this in an escrow account. So what we call an escrow account. So the escrow account here basically is a fancy way of saying, okay, the bank puts this money aside specifically for property taxes, and then they will actually pay the property taxes on your behalf to your local municipality. Okay, so again, in Cook County here, okay, it's going to be twice a year. Okay, you pay like twice a year, so you pay X amount of money for the first payment. The bank will give that amount of money, and then it'll give X amount of money for the second payment. And they're like, here you go, take this X amount of money for the second payment. Thank you, have a nice day. Okay, so those get taken care of by the bank as you continue to pay your mortgage. Other things that could be included here in terms of maybe extra payments and whatnot, or fees. You may hear about, and it depends on the type of loan you get here. So you could get what we call I want to say that word again. No, not that. That is that's true. Okay, I guess that's just what it is. All right. So basically these are, we're gonna call it points here, or closing points, or sometimes they're called discount points. In a sense, a point, 1 point is equal to 1% of the loan amount. And sometimes this is basically a fee for closing on the home. So sometimes you'll have like, oh, you get this nice contract, but you'll have a flat fee that you have to pay to the people to close on the house, to like sign all the papers and do all the things. And they'll say, oh, you have to pay, you have 2 points put on the put on the contract. Now you can pay that fee up front, or you can pay that fee in conjunction with the loan that you take out, and then they'll add that